Hey Betty, welcome back for another deep dive. We love to explore these fascinating topics you send us. So today we're going to dig into something you mentioned you were super curious about.
Yeah, hypno-channeling. It's definitely a topic that sparks a lot of interest, and there are so many different perspectives on it.
Right. And we're specifically looking at Naomi's work over at Hypno Vibes on YouTube, that channel you mentioned.
Yeah, her videos are pretty popular. And for this deep dive, we're focusing on that channeling Bashar inner truth session with Jessica.
It's a fascinating video, and I think it really highlights what hypno-channeling is all about.
So for anyone who might not be familiar with hypno-channeling, it's basically a process where someone like Jessica is guided into a hypnotic state by Naomi, and in that state, they're able to access a different level of consciousness.
It's like tuning into a different frequency. Right. And the idea is that they can tap into universal wisdom, receive messages from what some people might call higher beings or a higher self.
Exactly. And it's important to emphasize that it's not about Jessica's personal thoughts or beliefs. It's about accessing something beyond the individual mind.
Right. It's like she's a conduit for this channeled energy or wisdom. And one of the things that really struck me in this session, Betty, was this idea of aligning your inner state with your outer reality.
That's a powerful concept, and it comes up a lot in spiritual teachings and personal growth practices.
Absolutely. And in this transcript, it's presented in a way that's both mystical and practical.
There's this analogy of finding a hidden gem, especially in situations that we might perceive as negative or challenging.
Okay, like what?
Well, the transcript uses the example of a 9-to-5 job that someone might not be passionate about. But instead of seeing it as a drudgery, the idea is to look for the hidden gem, the positive aspect, the opportunity for growth within that experience.
I get it. So even if you're not your dream job yet, there are still things to learn and appreciate about your current situation. It's about shifting your perspective.
Exactly. And the transcript also talks about the power of state.
Okay, what do they mean by state?
Basically, it refers to your internal state of being, your vibration, your energy. And the idea is that when you cultivate a high vibrational state, you attract more abundance into your life.
And it's not just about financial abundance, right?
Right. It's about abundance in all areas: relationships, health, creativity, purpose. It's about feeling aligned and in flow with life.
There's this quote from the transcript that really stood out to me. It's not about your external circumstance. It's about how you react to it.
That's so powerful because it really emphasizes that we have more control over our experiences than we might realize. It's not about denying the challenges, but about choosing how we respond to them.
Right. It's like saying we can't always control what happens to us, but we can control how we react. And that choice, that shift in perspective, can make all the difference.
Totally. And I think that's a really empowering message, especially for anyone who's feeling stuck or overwhelmed by their circumstances.
I'm curious, Betty, does this resonate with you? Are there any areas in your life where you're trying to shift your perspective or cultivate a more positive state of being?
It's definitely something we can all work on. And what I find so fascinating about hypno-channeling is that it offers a way to access this wisdom and guidance from a deeper level of consciousness.
Yeah, it's like tapping into an inner compass that can help us navigate life's challenges and make choices that are aligned with our highest good.
And what's interesting is that this channeled message isn't suggesting we ignore our feelings or pretend everything is perfect. It acknowledges that life can be messy and challenging.
Right. Like it talks about the idea of tough love and how sometimes setting boundaries, even with people we care about, can actually be the most loving thing we can do.
Exactly. It's about honoring our own needs and well-being and recognizing that sometimes creating distance is necessary for growth and healing.
And the transcript even says, sometimes what you think is tough love is really just love. It's like challenging those conventional ideas about what it means to be loving and kind.
It's about recognizing that true love isn't always about being nice or agreeable. Sometimes it's about being honest, setting boundaries, and doing what's best for everyone involved, even if it's uncomfortable.
And it's not about being cold or uncaring. It's about recognizing that we have a responsibility to ourselves to create a life that is supportive, nurturing, and aligned with our values.
Yeah, and that alignment is so important. It's about being true to ourselves, even if it means making tough choices or going against the grain.
It's like the transcript says, first of all, just be yourself. You don't have to be anyone else. It's about embracing our authenticity and expressing our unique gifts and talents.
And that authenticity shines through when we're aligned with our values and living in a way that feels true to who we are.
It's about letting go of the need to please others or conform to societal expectations.
And that can be really liberating. It frees us up to create a life that is meaningful and fulfilling on our own terms.
So Betty, if you're feeling called to explore hypno-channeling or any of these concepts we're discussing, I highly recommend checking out Naomi's work on hypno-vibes and her book series, The Next Level You.
They're both great resources for anyone who's interested in personal growth, spirituality, and expanding their consciousness.
It's amazing how much wisdom and insight we can gain from these channeled messages.
It's like tapping into a source of knowledge that's beyond our everyday awareness.
And it can be so inspiring and empowering to realize that we have access to this guidance whenever we need it.
It's like having a wise mentor or guide whispering in our ear, helping us navigate life's complexities and make choices that are aligned with our highest potential.
Okay, so we've talked about aligning our inner state with our outer reality, cultivating a high vibration, and embracing tough love.
What else is there?
Well, before we wrap up part one, I want to touch on this concept of acceptance that comes up quite a bit in the transcript.
Okay, yeah. It's a big one. And I think it's often misunderstood.
Right. It's not about passively resigning ourselves to whatever happens or pretending that everything is fine when it's not.
It's about actively choosing to see the potential for growth in every experience, even the ones that feel challenging or uncomfortable.
There's a quote that really resonated with me. Every single situation that you always find yourself to be is an opportunity for you to really get to know yourself more.
That's so true, because every experience, every interaction, every challenge offers us a chance to learn and grow.
It's like life is a giant mirror, reflecting back to us our beliefs, patterns, and areas where we can evolve.
And acceptance is about embracing that reflection, even the parts we might not like, and using it as fuel for our journey of self-discovery.
It's about being kind and compassionate with ourselves, even when we make mistakes or face setbacks.
It's about remembering that we're all works in progress, and every experience, whether positive or negative, is part of our unique path.
And sometimes those negative experiences, the ones that push our buttons or challenge our beliefs, are the ones that offer the greatest opportunities for growth.
It's like they force us to confront our limitations, our fears, and our shadows.
And in that process of confrontation, we can discover hidden strengths, resilience, and wisdom that we never knew we had.
It's like a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. It's messy and uncomfortable, but ultimately it leads to something beautiful and transformative.
I love that analogy. It perfectly captures the essence of acceptance and the transformative power of embracing our challenges.
So, Betty, if you're facing a situation that feels difficult or overwhelming, remember that it's an opportunity to get to know yourself better, to expand your capacity for love and compassion, and to step into a more empowered version of yourself.
And remember, you don't have to do it alone. You have access to universal wisdom, to guidance from your higher self, to support from the universe itself.
And you can always tap into those resources through practices like meditation, journaling, and yes, even hypno-channeling.
The key is to remain open, curious, and willing to explore the depths of your own being.
Because within you lies the wisdom, the strength, and the resilience to navigate any challenge and create a life that is truly extraordinary. So, picking up on that idea of acceptance, the transcript talks about how it can also help us break free from those self-imposed limitations that we often put on ourselves.
Yeah, like how we can get so caught up in our own beliefs about what's possible or impossible for us.
Right, and those beliefs can really hold us back from experiencing our full potential.
The channeled message emphasizes that what's possible for us is beyond our wildest imagination.
I love that phrase. It's so expansive and full of possibility.
It's like saying we can't even comprehend the amazing things we're capable of because our minds are so limited by fear and doubt.
And the transcript suggests that those limitations often stem from fear, don't they? Like fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown.
Yeah, instead of trying to avoid or suppress those fears, the message encourages us to actually examine them.
Like to really sit with them and ask ourselves, what is this fear trying to tell me? What belief is it rooted in?
Because sometimes those fears can be signals pointing us towards areas where we need to grow or heal.
It's about becoming aware of those subconscious patterns that are holding us back and then consciously choosing to rewrite those narratives.
So powerful. We're not just victims of our past conditioning or our limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
We have the power to change our stories.
And that's where this concept of following your excitement comes in.
Yeah, I love that idea. It's about paying attention to those things that light us up, that spark our passion and joy, even if they seem impractical or out of reach.
The transcript even says it's very important for people to really follow that thread of anything that is more exciting.
It's like an invitation to trust our intuition and let it guide us towards our true purpose and fulfillment.
And it's not about throwing caution to the wind or abandoning our responsibilities.
Right. It's about finding ways to integrate more of what we love into our lives, even if it's just small steps at first.
Yeah. It's about making those little shifts in perspective, those adjustments to our routines and habits that allow us to connect more deeply with our passions and purpose.
And sometimes those small shifts can lead to big transformations.
Exactly. Remember, the channeled message is all about aligning our inner state with our outer reality.
So if we can cultivate a state of excitement, passion, joy, even in small moments, that energy will naturally start to ripple out into our experiences.
It's like becoming a magnet for the things we desire simply by aligning with that vibration.
Which brings us back to this idea of a high vibrational state that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, it's worth exploring what that actually means because the transcript uses that phrase quite a bit.
It's one of those terms that gets thrown around a lot, but what does it actually mean to be in a high vibrational state?
It's not just about feeling happy or positive all the time, although those are certainly part of it.
Right, it's about something deeper.
It's about cultivating a state of inner peace, of alignment with our true selves, of connection to something larger than ourselves.
It's about radiating love, compassion, and gratitude outward, not just when things are easy, but even in the midst of challenges.
And I think that's where the idea acceptance comes in again, which is another key theme from the transcript.
Yeah, how does acceptance relate to being in a high vibrational state?
Well, the channeled message talks about accepting every situation as an opportunity for self-discovery.
There's that quote. Every single situation that you always find yourself to be, it is an opportunity for you to really get to know yourself more.
I love that quote. It reminds us that every experience, even the ones that feel unpleasant or challenging, has something to teach us.
It's not about passively resigning ourselves to whatever happens.
It's about actively choosing to see the potential for growth in every experience, even the ones that push our buttons or trigger our insecurities.
So it's not just about positive thinking. It's about recognizing that every experience, every challenge, every setback has something valuable to offer.
It's about looking for the hidden gem, the lesson, the opportunity within the perceived obstacle.
Which, again, brings us back to shifting our perspective.
It's amazing how interconnected all of these concepts are.
Yeah, like threads in a tapestry, each one contributing to the overall beauty and complexity of the design.
And I think what's so inspiring about this channeled message is that it offers us a framework for understanding our experiences and creating a life that is truly aligned with our highest potential.
It's about recognizing that we have the power to choose our thoughts, our beliefs, and our actions, and that those choices ultimately shape our reality.
And that's a really empowering message, isn't it? It takes the pressure off feeling like everything has to be perfect and allows us to embrace the journey with a sense of curiosity and adventure.
It's about trusting that we're exactly where we need to be, learning what we need to learn, and growing in ways we couldn't have imagined.
And that's a beautiful way to approach life, isn't it? With a sense of wonder, openness, and possibility.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that we're not victims of our circumstances, but co-creators of our lives.
And that realization can be incredibly liberating.
Speaking of Naomi's work, there's one more intriguing idea from this session that I want to explore. Okay, so this idea that our current situations can serve us even if we don't love them. Like, even a 9-to-5 job that you're not super passionate about can actually be preparing you for something bigger down the line.
Yeah, it's like, don't discount what you're doing right now, even if it's not your ultimate goal. You might be gaining valuable skills and experiences that will be super helpful later.
Right, like maybe you're learning to be more organized or to work under pressure, and those are skills that can be applied to any field.
Totally. And it's not just about those tangible, practical skills either. It's also about developing those qualities like patience and perseverance.
And that grit and resilience you build by sticking with something, even when it's tough, that's going to serve you well no matter what you end up doing.
Absolutely. And I think this ties back to that idea of trusting the journey even when we don't know where it's leading.
The transcript even says you're always right where you need to be. It's like there's a purpose to everything, even if we can't see it in the moment.
And maybe that purpose is to learn those lessons, to develop those skills, to build that resilience that will prepare us for what's next.
I'm also thinking about that quote from the transcript. Energy is always accessible.
Interesting. How do you see that connecting to this idea of our current situations serving us?
Well, maybe that energy that's always accessible is the potential for growth that's hidden within every experience, even the ones that feel challenging or frustrating.
Oh, I like that. It's like that potential is always there waiting for us to tap into it.
Exactly. It's just a matter of shifting our perspective, of looking for the opportunity within the obstacle.
So even if Betty's not in her dream job right now, maybe she's learning to be a better communicator, a better problem solver, a more resilient person.
Exactly. And those qualities, those inner resources, are going to be so valuable when she is ready to pursue her passion.
It reminds me of how the transcript emphasizes the importance of being true to yourself.
Yeah, and that doesn't just mean doing what you love. It also means honoring your own growth process and trusting that where you are right now is part of that journey.
Right. Maybe part of being true to yourself is recognizing that you're capable of handling challenges and learning from them. It's about having faith in your own resilience.
And maybe it's also about surrendering to the bigger picture, trusting that there's a reason for everything, even if we can't see it at the time.
Yeah, like trusting that those challenges are actually guiding us in the direction we're meant to go.
Which again brings us back to that theme of aligning our inner state with our outer reality.
Because when we trust the process, when we surrender to what is, it creates more space for those synchronicities and opportunities to show up.
It's like we're opening ourselves up to the flow of abundance, to the guidance of the universe.
And that's where practices like hypnochanneling can be so powerful. They allow us to tap into that deeper wisdom and guidance.
To connect with that part of ourselves that knows what's best for us, even when our conscious mind is full of doubts and fears.
And to remember that we're not alone on this journey. We have access to that universal wisdom, that support from something greater than ourselves.
So Betty, if you're feeling called to explore this, definitely check out Naomi's work.
She's amazing. Her YouTube channel, Hypnovibes, is a great place to start.
In her book series, The Next Level You, goes even deeper into these concepts of personal growth and transformation.
It's a fantastic resource for anyone who's ready to take their life to the next level.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, I think one of the biggest takeaways for me is that even when things feel challenging or uncertain, there's always an opportunity for growth and expansion.
Absolutely. It's about choosing to see those challenges as gifts, as invitations to become more of who we truly are.
And to remember that we have the power to shift our perspective, to cultivate a high vibration, and to create a life that is aligned with our soul's purpose.
It's about trusting the journey, embracing the unknown, and knowing that we're always supported and guided by something greater than ourselves.
So Betty, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it as insightful and inspiring as we did.
And remember, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep shining your light. The world needs your unique gifts and talents.
Yeah, very good. That energy you called will not come forward.
Right, I just want to know it.
He's not allowed to communicate humans. It's part of the contract.
I was going to also channel you.
Yes.
I'm glad. So I'm glad you talk a different way to this body.
Well, it depends on the individual's body. We appreciate that people are actually following the formula.
Able to know that we don't have to do 9 to 5. This is a difficult.
It's not just about the financials. It's about being in a state. When you're in that state, you're vibrating the most at you cannot help but attract everything that is abundant. And in your current system, that includes financial abundance.
Right.
It's just a part of the equation. But there's no need to focus specifically on the financial abundance. But that's when people are using the brains to analyze the situation. The formula tells you and teaches you to keep yourself in the high vibrational state. That is the main point. But your highest excitement at that moment can include having enough to also support your rent and your physical livelihood, for you to be able to also pursue passion. You don't have to totally make that flip. You don't have to worry about.
It doesn't.
Then you can do both.
So right, you said already did their job because they're going to have so much worry and fear, right? So they just keep it, but do something else on the side.
There's always time to do things on the side. The 9 to 5 is a 9 to 5, not a 9 to 9.
Right. Yeah, some people do 9 to 9.
But when you're in that state, you're able to turn your 9 to 5 into something a little bit more exciting as well, because your perspective has shifted.
They shifted it.
Yes. So if you feel like you're doing something you're not enjoying, why don't you look at it from a different perspective so that you can always extract a positive meaning from that situation. You don't really have to focus, is it my 9 to 5 versus my passion? Because it's really about being in the state. If that is relevant for them at the moment, yes. Because if they feel excited, that means that there's something for them to learn or to extract from that situation. which is why you can never really tell people what they should do. You don't know what their path is because you just don't know whether the situation is still serving them. Which is why it's important to always be in that state of receptivity, because you can have a 9 to 5, but be in two different total states of mind. So which one would you rather be in? Yes, it's not so much you have to abandon this. It's not so much this versus that. It's just trusting and staying in that state where things naturally shift to expansion. Because right now you're approaching it from the point of view of, I have to let something go in order for something else to come in more. Yes, that is sometimes can be true. Right. But there's a struggle between, I can't enjoy this, I have to enjoy that. But you can always find something to be extracted from each situation. And you never know, you may be able to pick up a skill from that 9 to 5 that will help you support your passion down the line. Right. Because there's not just a reason why people feel excited about any situation, but there's a reason why you're in that situation, because it also, in a way, can serve you. And if you shift your perspective, you would extract more from that situation, which is why it's always very important to be in that state.
This is how to say it?
You don't have to rationalize everything. You just have to tell yourself, first of all, just be yourself. You don't have to be anyone else. And in order for you to complete a certain task, to be your certain project, what is the most fulfilling and the most exciting way to go about this?
And let's say,
then maybe it is time for you to play your 9 to 5, because it really varies based on individual situation. Which is why it's very important for people to really follow that thread of anything that is more exciting, the way you're doing at this moment. Because I can see that your intentions are pure. We can see that your intentions are pure. He has his audience, and you have your audience. Energy is always accessible. This might not be the main consciousness speaking, however, the energy is always accessible. The timing was not ready yet. Because it's not really about your external circumstance, it's about how you react to it, what you make the most out of it. It doesn't matter what situation you're in. Stop defining everything, making everything fight each other. Just overall acceptance of every single situation you are in. You cannot stop other people from what they're trying to do. You cannot control or tell people what they should do. I don't understand the question. Well, every single situation that you always find yourself to be in is an opportunity for you to really get to know yourself more, for you to be yourself more and more. So you just ask your inner compass, what is really myself at the moment?
After this conversation, I felt I did not do that.
Then that was your lesson.
Okay. I still can make it.
Because every moment you can always choose what is the most yourself.
Right. Say the things we want.
What makes it not loving? If you're not kind, if you're not...
Right.
But sometimes being loving is telling the other person they need to stop what they're doing. Sometimes that is the most loving thing you can do for someone. Sometimes it's also to shut the door on them, to get themselves to see they need to stop their behavior. That is sometimes the most loving thing. You just have this idea that I have to act a certain way to be considered loving. But that's not how it is.
A person feels...
You're not responsible for how other people react. So allow them to feel hurt. Maybe sometimes they have to feel hurt in order to realize that person is not who they want to be. And you have helped them realize that.
Sometimes we do feel bad.
Then feel bad. That is a form of self-judgment. Because you feel like you should have done something else.
If I can.
Well, then say that, because if that's how you feel like that is you at the moment, it's always being yourself. Well, sometimes you have to just show them in a tough love type of way. Sometimes people won't really stand the message. We have said this many times before.
I know.
We have said this before. That sometimes the most loving thing you can do to someone is cut them out of your life. The situation is, yeah, the energy is always accessible. It may not be the same way as it is for Daryl. There's a different soul contract there. But we as Sasani people are always equal. We're all the same. Doesn't matter who it is. That's the only way. It depends on how you see it. Anything can happen, but there's always someone to see the negative side of things. So why not see the positive side so you can extract a positive meaning from it? It's just a matter of perspective. It's not, there's nothing inherently negative.
So another way to look at it.
Sometimes fear will come up, but that's for you to examine your existing belief system. If anything negative is coming out, it's there for you to examine,
Because
for you to let go. Because no one is born perfect. That's the only way we see existence. Because as we said, it's always about your inner circumstance. You need to be in this state. Your outer circumstances have no choice but to mirror that. Which is why you can also have no expectation of what you want to see. And to have no expectation means to be totally open to anything that will come in. because it is beyond your wildest imagination. It's not up to your brain to decide what you want to experience as joy. It's you are in a state of being receptive. Anything to come. Body may need a break.